Rommy Tomlinson, as I think I'm forced at gunpoint to say.
By the algorithm, yeah.
Yes, the real name being a band name, at least on Facebook for sure. So don't know what I'm going to do except try and call him Rommy Tomlinson. Well, his car got firebombed the other night. And as we can see here, I'm not exactly sure when it got firebombed. I've seen the reportings are yesterday or something like that. But as you can see from his Getter account here, he posts a story saying, "What a difference a few hours make, an amazing coincidence. 2 cars randomly combust in Telford, and neither are linked." And you have the Shropshire Star here.
It's a very Swedish problem, this, isn't it?
Yes, just a person. yeah, behind the crime. So the first story being that 2 cars were set on fire, not to be linked, and then the Shropshire Star having to update themselves and saying, actually, they are. And the police say they are. It's just all these grenade attacks. No idea where that's coming from. Yeah. And if we go to the next link, you have Cassandra Fairbanks reporting on here. His car was firebombed after releasing his documentary trailer on grooming gangs in Telford. The Rape of Britain, the Telford edition, let's say. So if we go to the next link, to the Gateway Pundit, being literally the only source I can find reporting on this from mainstream press.
Yeah,
Which,
apart from the Shropshire Star.
Although they didn't mention it was his. They were just like,
no, good point.
Car burns.
Man's car set on fire by other person.
No, I can't even remember if they said other person.
Well, yeah, good point.
Spontaneously combusts. Yeah. Anyway, so British journalist and free speech activist Rommy Tomlinson, a car was set on fire on Sunday, one day after he released his trailer for his upcoming documentary exposing Muslim grooming gangs. Tomlinson's new documentary, The Rape of Britain, will expose the names and faces of those involved with the gangs of migrants raping young British girls in Telford and other towns. So this is his accusations that he's bringing forward, and we'll be making to light in Telford. And we'll get the date when everyone can come down in a minute. So speaking to the Gateway Pundit on Monday, Tomlinson explains that he was on his way to the police station where he would be live streaming about what had happened. Quote, "These gangs are waging war on the survivors and anyone who is investigating them. Maybe this is the reason that the mainstream journalists shy away from this problem. Maybe they're all scared of these gangs. The problem is, we're not scared. This won't deter us. Nothing will deter us," he said. I like his gusto.
Yep.
Always do. Robinson said that there has been several arson attacks, at least one of which was against a survivor that he knows of in Telford in the last week. At least 2 of them were also arson attacks on vehicles. Just random arson attacks, all taking place in Telford. Just
for no reason at all.
Unconnected, except that it's all involved with, well, this documentary.
And it just seems to happen to be occurring right now for some reason.
If we go to the next link, we can also see his Getter post updating us on the situation on the ground. So he's been there for weeks upon weeks, and he's done loads of, as you can see in the promos, undercover footage and just recording them, tracking their cars, finding out where people are going. All the kind of investigative journalism stuff you would expect from an investigative journalist. And, well, a hell of a lot more than 99% of journalists in existence.
Well, it's the kind of thing that journalists used to do for political correctness.
I mean, high-quality stuff. But, of course, he's doing lots of interviews with people who are saying they are survivors of this situation and are naming their accusers, and he's collected all of it, handed it on to the police to some extent, and then the police are refusing to cooperate because police are the police.
Yeah.
And we have the response here, breaking.
Well, hang on a sec. This video you've got up, I actually watched this. So this woman and her husband were just walking their dog, and there was a gang of 10 or 12 apparently Muslim men who had gathered, who are armed, and they had attacked them for just walking past, on the assumption that they were somehow connected to Mr. Tomlinson.
Because he's about. Just any white woman, I suppose, is fair game to be attacked.
And her husband. So it appears to be a racist attack.
It would be an anti-white hate crime.
Yes.
If the police would do their jobs and log such things.
Yes.
And as you can see, he mentions about that happening, and then it's him saying that this is the police's fault for not willing to protect.
Apparently they hit her over the head with a bat.
Yeah, I mean, you can see the car there, the damage.
And smashed up the car.
Just perfectly normal things.
Because they're white.
Cars being set on fire, cars being smashed up,
Specifically
normal
because
things.
they're English, I guess. Anyway.
If we go to the next link, you can see apparently there is blood on the car as well. So from whoever did it, they have DNA evidence of the perpetrator, which is good. I'm sure the police will take due care and attention.
Oh, yeah,
evidence.
I'm sure they're going to be all over this.
And if we go to the next link, we can see his conversations with the police. So he says here, "Here's my call with the police in Telford. On the night I went round, the police refused to come back to the property to protect this family. They refused to call me back. They couldn't be bothered and were quite happy for me and the lads to do the work for them." So he put out a call saying, if there are any lads nearby, please come to Telford, I need help. And then got a bunch of lads to just protect several witnesses. as he relocates them to another location because
Good for them.
Well, they're on
Godspeed.
I mean, just doing the police's job because the police haven't for years.
Yeah, but you know why the police don't want to get involved with this? Because this is political.
It's the bad man.
Well, it's not just the bad man, but the whole situation is a political situation. And anything the police do, they're going to get accused of X, Y, or Z isms, and they don't want to have a part of that. They'd rather just not do it.
They'd rather continue the situation. Telford police are an absolute disgrace. They couldn't give an S about the family living in fear after grooming gang members smashed up their home to intimidate them into silence. We protected their home, we moved them out of that house, and we've removed them from danger. The police couldn't be bothered. No wonder Telford is in the mess that it is. Yeah. I mean, we are familiar with the story, me and John, because I remember we covered in detail, and you may remember as well, there was a documentary which we covered of the family that were killed there in Telford. This is not just a story of victims or survivors. Who
Was this where a house was set on fire?
Yeah, so there was one girl who was groomed years ago, and the perpetrator got her pregnant, and then went round and set fire to her house with his, the baby had been born. Yeah. The mother, so the survivor in this case, threw the baby out of the window, and she and the rest of the family perished in the fire. He was done for the fire, but not for the grooming. And now the baby has grown up to full age, and is now making documentaries about how all this happened, and no one made any inroads into the grooming here, even though it was like, well, this girl's underage and she's pregnant with your child, and you're a 30-year-old man. Just British things, just an absolute mess. I mean, Telford really is one of those towns or cities throughout this country that has a really horrid history on this. I mean,
it's been totally left to the wolves, isn't it?
If we go to the next link, you can see, I believe this is the second promo he's produced here. So you may remember he produced the first promo, which has something like 200,000 views now. And then this one with almost 90,000 views there on Getter alone.
Good.
I mean, it's nice to see that if you make these accusations, you can get traction again, which you can't on mainstream social media, especially the bad man, because he's banned.
Well, he's banned from all, yeah.
And he mentions in here that Saturday, 29th of January, 2 p.m., he will be live streaming the documentary in full in Telford. So everyone can just come and see it for free.
Oh, on his big bus.
Yeah, the big the battle bus.
Yeah, excellent.
He's got, presumably.
Yeah.
And
for anyone who doesn't know, he's got a bus with a giant screen on the side of it,
which is really useful.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah. I remember. I mean, last time I spoke to him, he did the Russian speech, the Rape of Britain, which I also recommend people go and watch. And after that, his plan was basically to go town to town and just expose in the specific town the problems that specific town has. And presumably, this is the start of many he will be doing. And well, just this one has already caused enough, fuss for them to come after him and his car, apparently. If we go to the next link, you would think this is a huge story. I mean, his name was trending all night on every social media. Everyone was paying attention to this. This is the only story I found on my news tab of British media reporting on this, which is that they didn't. Even in here, the only reference to Rommy Tomminson is that the town spawned such world-class denizens as him. And in the story about Luton being rated the worst place to live in England. Nothing else. Not the Times, not the Guardian. Nada. I couldn't find any.
It's called a conspiracy of silence.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the Guardian. I don't know what some of the front page stories they had. Some rare flowers have been found in Yorkshire.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
I mean, that is important.
I mean, anti-Islam activist gets car set on fire. Not as important as the rare flowers of Yorkshire, I'm sure.
Is that news?
Yeah, I don't know.
That's the question.
It's not the kind of news they want to report on. And if we go to the next link, we can see that they didn't have any excuse because they all live on Twitter. And as you can see, him making the point here that, well, arrest and his name were trending on Twitter. So not like they didn't see. They all just had an excuse not to. So I thought I'd check out on Twitter and see, well, what are the highest rated posts with his name attached. If we go to the next one, we can see, David here, who's fairly supportive of the idea of getting rid of grooming gangs. As you see, saying, if you're not aware, Rommy Tomlinson's car was firebombed last night. It's viewed this is intimidation to stop him showing his film on Pakistani heritage grooming gangs. One of the victims had their home attacked and car torched. Where is the police? This was the most highly rated tweet about the situation. If we go to the next one, we get a left-wing example. The most highly rated left-wing example of the response to his car being firebombed. Rommy Tomlinson has never been motivated by helping rape victims.
Good. Yeah, it's mind reading. That's what this is. We're going to plumb his motivations with our magic left-wing mind-reading abilities. Let me gaze into the orb of Rommy Tomlinson's mind, as Seb Brownlow clearly can.
He callously exploits them to pursue his campaign of preaching hate against Muslims and stigmatizing a community for the crimes of a few.
At least he knows the composition of the grooming gangs.
Yeah, I mean, no one else mentioned that composition, but
No.
we went with Asian heritage, as David
Yeah.
said, and oh boy, Seb, that's very Islamophobic of you to bring Muslims into this.
Aye.
Could have been Christian Asians. If you support him, you're ignorant and a racist. It's that simple.
Oh, God, it's 2022 and someone's called me a racist.
What will we do?
Oh, shut it down, boys, you know.
But even if we, okay, we'll even...
Just imagine being like, yeah, so that's that done. You know,
That's the end of my day.
Yeah, Seb walks off. Are we worried about the rape victims, Seb? You know, the children who are being raped? No, because that would be racist.
I know it's completely undue because it's so just obviously partisan. But even if we steeled man Seb's position here and said that this journalist is actually a cold-hearted, evil individual who just wants a story, nothing else, that's still not bad. If you go to an area where there's a huge amount of corruption and crimes and expose the corruption and crimes for publicity, even if you say he has, a heart of stone that doesn't care about the rape victims, that's not bad. That's good. That's a good thing. That's a public service because no one else is doing it.
Yeah, I mean, Seb's, it's not like, stigmatizing a community for the crimes of the few. Well, I mean, it is in every Muslim community and the police are doing nothing about it.
So now what?
Yeah. So do we just ignore those rape victims? Are you not much of a feminist,
Well,
Seb?
we call them racist, as Seb did. Because how
And
dare
the
you?
problem's gone.
Yeah.
Poof.
If you don't see it, it's not happening. That's the solution.
That's a good point.
But it has been the solution of the British police force for decades.
That has. Or if we just recategorize them as to be making informed life choices at 13 years old, sleeping with 30-year-old men.
I still can't get over how that's a thing. Because for me, the Blair era is a bit young for me.
Well,
And I go back and read some of the documents or some of the speeches, and people refer to the girls as child prostitutes.
yes. There's no such thing as a child prostitute.
It's like rich peasant.
Well, some peasants actually were rich, but
But you're still a peasant, compared to what? And
but-
it's like child prostitute. Like, no, a child cannot be a prostitute.
yeah, that's a rape victim. Anyway,
So let's move on. Let's go to the next link here, which is him updating, of course, why we're not naming his name and cannot name his name by threat of being shot in the head, presumably, at least digitally. Facebook has some community standards. Those community standards, as you can see from this image, are that you can mention the name of the bad man, the evil bad man, but you cannot say anything positive about him.
right.
He has to be always condemned, like ISIS. If you say that ISIS good, you're gone, and if you say ISIS bad, you're allowed to stay up. So, investigative journalist, you are only allowed to say he is bad. And this is an example here of someone who has been unable to go live or advertise for 30 days because they dare to say that, quote, he has the balls to stand up for what's right. God,
Well, Facebook doesn't want you standing up for what's right.
no, that's
Pretty
not
clear.
Facebook. I am okay to say that ISIS exists on Facebook. I hope, John. I can see John's.
John is
Oh,
saying.
apparently
that
you can say ISIS is good on Facebook. So yeah,
I'm sure that's not true.
to be honest, I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, yeah,
do you
actually.
remember we did that interview with Ryan Hartwig, and he showed us the documents of like what you're allowed to say? Like you're allowed to deny the Holodomor, for example. That's fine.
Well,
Stalin didn't do nothing.
it was not a left-wing bugbear, is it? You know,
No.
they don't care about that.
That was specific exemption. I believe it was
That's
like
a specific exemption.
yeah.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, like in the documents the moderators are given, they're like, no, this one's specifically allowed.
What about the Armenian genocide?
Oh, I don't know about that. Depends on what the Young Turks are saying about
Yeah,
it
I
these days.
suppose it
doesn't
does, doesn't it?
Yeah. So let's go to the next link because there's also the story of Marjorie Taylor Greene also getting banned from Twitter, of course. That is much ado about the Getter explosion. And she has also been censored on Facebook, apparently. Why? She said something. I don't even know. She could have said nothing. And we know the outcome of this, which is that Twitter and Facebook are the same entity when it comes to censorship. And as she points out, well, okay, I represent hundreds of thousands of Americans, but F me, I guess.
Yeah.
Who do
I'm
they
only an
ban?
elected representative. Who's she to get to speak?
Why should she have any ability to speak to her representatives? Nah.
Constituents.
So
Yeah.
sorry, constituents. She should only be able to write down like physical letters. Like if you're a Republican, you're not allowed to send emails anymore. I mean,
Yeah.
why not?
Well, I saw a post by Rand Paul earlier saying that he's not going to be posting his videos to YouTube anymore and just posting to Rumble because they took down Dr. Malone's clips from Joe Rogan.
I think a bunch of his stuff has also been taken down. over
Quite
years.
possibly, yeah.
So,
Because he's been giving Fauci a hard time.
yeah. And I
And
thought
rightfully so.
we'd end this on the last update on this, which sort of happened before we went live, which is apparently that the situation on the ground is, of course, getting even worse. So this is a friend of Rommy Tomminson here saying, over the past 24 hours, 3 separate notice of threat to personal safety have been issued by the Mercia police to families in Telford. The police have called in CID, but it's clear that they are losing control of the situation. Groomers and their associates are raining terror on the streets.
God damn it.
Not worth a Guardian article. Not worth a Times article, apparently.
Yeah, where's the Daily Mail on this?
I mean, what do you want to call it? Green terror?
Green terror?
Allahu Akbar.
Oh, yeah, good point. Okay, yeah. Well, the green situation in Telford seems to be getting worse.
Yeah.
I mean, literally, the notice of threat to personal safety to families in Telford.
Just, you're not safe in this town, said by the police.
I mean, if there's literally, like, terrorists running around the streets threatening families in the city or the town.
Firebombing cars.
Firebombing cars. I mean, maybe a curfew would be something the police would do.
At least a story? Like, I would at least have expected any of the British press to perk up and think, hang on, why is there, like, a terrorist group running Telford right now?
Does the government have anything to say about this?
Just a bit
like,
busy.
the Conservatives got any comment at all?
Yeah, and it doesn't matter what you think of the bad man. You can
No.
think he's a bad man and he's got a heart of stone, as Seb does, for example. That's not important, really. What's important is the crime that's going on. And the ignoring of that is a sin. I don't know what else to say. If you enjoyed that segment from the podcast, The Lotus Eaters, you can go over to lotuseaters.com to access all the premium content we have on the site, such as the contemplations that Josh and Thomas did together on the philosophical direction of the West. But if you'd like to find out what else is coming out on the site, you can always follow us at getter.com, with lotuseaters_com being the @. Thank you and goodbye.